Hello, it's Sunday morning, and I'm here at my West Virginia house, and it's the end of apple tree season, or it's the end of apple season. And as most of you know, there are probably over 100 apple trees in my small orchard, and there might be 40 or so peach trees. But I've also got pears, plums, cherries, peaches. There's a lot of stuff in here. And so, you know, when I started this about 10 years ago, the whole plan was to make healthy snacks out of the apples. It's taken about 10 years for all this to start to come together. There are probably 15 trees that are producing good apples right now, between Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, a few Honey Crisp. Pears are doing really well, and the peaches, well, for some reason they've been a little hit and miss. And I'll figure that out this year. But so the whole idea behind all this was to dehydrate the fruit and make a healthy snack, small business out of it. Well, since that's all began, you know, there's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning, a lot of back-breaking work, and you know, I've planted every single one of these trees, and I've planted a lot of them twice. Mortality rate sometimes gets high when you don't know what you're doing. But there's, you know, a lot of other stuff that goes into it, you know, pollination, which I didn't even consider before I started doing this. You know, there's things like pruning that I had no idea how much debris would come out of these trees. And so when you factor in 140 or so trees, it's quite a lot. So not only the effort and the time to put into pruning, but where do you put it all? You know, things like that, you know, things I didn't ever think of. But you know, so finally, after about 10 years, this is starting to come full circle, and I've made some really good dehydrated apples this year. I bought a Cabela's 80-liter dehydrator. It's a commercial grade dehydrator, and I've dehydrated a whole lot of apples, but you know, in that process, I've had to streamline the process, and once again, things I didn't think about. You know, how long does it take to peel an apple? Do you core it? Do you not? You know, another thing is, how much time does it take to dehydrate, you know, apples? My dehydrator handles about 31, maybe 32 apples. It takes about 9.5 hours. It's a lot of time, you know. Funnily enough, the other thing I didn't factor in was cost. You know, my electric bill is a lot higher now. But that's okay. You know, in the long run, it's all gonna be worth it. But anyway, you know, that's a little bit about what I'm doing out here, and I've made a short video that'll be on the end of this to accompany the dehydration process. But you know, that just is to get you a little bit up to speed on what I'm doing out here, and you know, why this crazy guy has 140 apple trees on, or 140 trees, 140 total trees on his property, and you know, what in the world's he doing with it all? Well, now you know. Sort of. We're getting there. Something new that's going to happen, probably next year, is that with the addition of the honeybees, which I never planned on getting, I figured I would rely on the wind and the birds and things like that, but from what I'm reading, next year I'll start to probably see a 20% or so, maybe 15 to 20% increase in fruit production based on the honeybees alone. And if that's the case, it's going to be crazy. I've gotten a ton of everything this year. So it should be interesting to see how the bees affect the production of the apples. But anyway, we'll see how it goes, and it should be a lot of fun. But it's fall out here. It's probably peak fall, and it's beautiful right now. Wish you guys were out here. Everybody should be out here.